So really, like, if we haven't figured this out yet, and maybe, I mean, you guys can agree or disagree with me here, but I think Colton, Ryan, and Ben are awful, a lot alike with one
Oh,
another.
I thought you were gonna. Oh, did you?
Awfully
You said
alike.
awful.
Awfully.
There was a
Awful.
pause
Oh,
there.
okay. I was like, hold on, awful. No, my bad. I see what I did there. No, like you guys are three are so close in personality and dynamic
Mhm.
and thinking, and I think Ashley, Haley, and myself are way more. Let's bullet point. Like this doesn't need to be story time. We don't need to. We don't need to know.
Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast for real estate pros by real estate pros with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
Ashley, we have some guests today. We
We
figured it.
do.
We figured it'd be fun to bring on a whole bunch of couples that all work together, and we did not prep for this whatsoever. And I can't lie, there is an email with questions that we are supposed to prep out with. I did not read them, so we're just going to see where this can go with so many different personalities. And I think the main focus here, and we'll see where the conversations go, but the main focus is how in the hell do you guys work together? Like, what is wrong with you people and working with your spouse? And
Mhm.
I think let's dissect that. That there's the good, there's the bad, and then the ugly of it. And we all are here with an open heart and open mind, and just having a conversation. So, Haley and Colton, I'm gonna start with you. You had the questions. So, what's your first question that you want to dive into?
So my first question was, how long has everybody been working with their spouse? Because that is definitely our number one question we get asked is how the hell do you do that? How long have you been doing it? So we are at what, 6 years? This summer will be 6 years.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, we just celebrated 7 years
Of marriage. Mm-hmm.
6 of them working together.
Yep.
And you're still
And we're
married.
still married.
Yeah, that's great.
Still
Yeah.
married.
Yeah. So how long have y'all all been working together?
That's tricky. Ryan, go ahead.
So I guess technically we've been working together since 2016. I worked in the office prior to that, like helping with rental stuff, and they had an agent who did foreclosures. So like I would go put outlet covers and those kind of things on. But 2016 was when I got licensed, and then quit my full-time job at the end of 2016. So
What were you doing before real estate?
I sold cars. I had worked at a car dealership I'd sold cars for 7 years at that point, I think.
Oh, wow.
Well,
So, I
it's
mean, it was a
very
natural.
classic real estate transition.
That's
What
exactly
about
what I
y'all,
was going to say.
Ashley? How long have y'all worked together?
Yeah, probably since 2012. So
Wow. Y'all
a
win.
little a little bit different in that Ben is not in real estate, but very much partner to that is his construction and rental properties. So he started Frederick Construction in 2012, and so I started that with him. And since then, we've been doing flips and spec homes, and we have an investment portfolio. He's our sign guy. I mean, there's that as far as
Always need a time guy.
Always need a good one.
also was responsible for both of our remodels on both our original lease when we opened this office, and then our build out of our new office. So it's a lot of I mean, he's basically part of the office. We treat him as one. So yeah.
Well, Ben, aren't you kind of working on a project now that's going to put you guys a little bit more together in the real estate realm?
Oh, kinda.
How is that going?
It's going. Working on some small things there. Once we're working on some software stuff, so hopefully once that's all good to go, I do have to enter some stuff in. Hopefully by the end of the week, I put that on my goal list. So that's.
What is that company for, Ben? What type of company?
I love your questions. The company is for a property management company that we want to start.
Welcome
Yeah.
to the dark side.
So yeah,
Which
so
the two other couples know
apparently,
plenty about.
apparently we're the last ones to get into that game here with everyone else. But I think as many rentals as we have, I think it would be very helpful for us to keep track of the people coming in, people going out, all the logistics of it. So after that happens, then I think it would make our lives also a little bit easier. So obviously that Ryan and Steven are helping us with that. So as long as that can come in, I am take some stuff off of Ashley's plate, more onto my plate, and I think it'll be a good solution.
And
I
so,
love
like,
it.
I think one of the things too that here, don't get me wrong, working with your spouse can be challenging because you know them so well, and I really want to
Yes.
dive into that. But then with that being said too, like because you know them so well, like you can see where, on the back end side at home, on the personal side, where they're really struggling and where there's things that you know that you can step up to take those things off of your plate. So it really is, I mean, a true partnership. The dynamic is sticky sometimes. But with that being said, Colton and Haley,
Yeah.
what were you gonna? Because I said sticky.
It's sticky.
Like,
It's just so
It's
accurate.
so
We
sticky.
just
oh, I
we
didn't
use
know if
that
you're
word a lot.
which direction you were gonna go with. Like, you're gonna start being perverted or what you're doing. So, with that, Colton, what
Yeah.
drives you flipping nuts with Haley?
Nothing.
She took the word right out of my mouth.
That was
Absolutely
bad.
nothing. She
Uh,
is beautiful and
Uh-huh.
brilliant.
I love
She
it.
always does the right,
These are all true.
that's a good question. I think what is the thing that drives me nuts?
Here, let me
He is such a
try to
good
reframe it.
Let me
husband.
frame
Did y'all
it
see
this way.
that?
Let me frame it this way because I'm walking through a minefield, but walk with me, just behind me. It's gonna sound like that episode of The Office where Michael's like, "I care too much, I work too hard." Her checklists drive me absolutely bonkers. That is not my thing.
Yeah.
So that part of like the professional world, I like to just kind of, do my thing.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, with all the moving parts, you got to have things to check off. And so that's probably the most annoying thing on the business side. I'll be complaining about something. And she goes, "Well, what's the checklist look like?" Like, shut up, dude. I haven't looked at it yet. Leave me alone. Drink your Celsius and let me be.
Get me all hyped up.
Yeah.
And then, so my thing is that he doesn't always look at the checklist.
Yeah.
And that if he would just walk through the checklist, then maybe that thing wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But I think more early on, there was more stuff because we had just started working together. And a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff got worked out. Like at the
Mhm.
beginning, there was definitely more things like, oh my goodness, why do you not do this? Or how can you not? And now it's just like, stay in your lane, just use the freaking checklist and everything will be fine.
The biggest challenge for me up front was that I was coming from a different career where I had a master's degree in, clinical psychology, and I knew what I was doing. And I came into real estate thinking, like it's a new industry, but I passed the test and, I got it.
Mhm.
And I didn't have it. And there was a lot of stuff I didn't know, which I think is obvious. And it took me a while to get past that, like past the idea that I wasn't prepared for this. And I had to lean on her and deal with her coming in saying, "Hey, what does the contract say?" That's the answer to your question. And so there's a lot of pride that I had to get through initially, but I think 6 years in, we're mostly past it.
Mhm.
Yeah, like when we started, we were in this tiny little office together. And then when we moved, we had our own offices because it was like, you need to go over there. And now we're back to being in the same office, but that's because he runs property management
Bless
and
you
I
for
run
that.
this side.
Yeah.
It works. I'm
And-
sorry, my hands. I know.
Oh, it's all good. So, in Ashley, we talk about this all the time as far as like, so I'm going to reframe the question because I knew Colton would be so diplomatic on his answer. Um, the rest of us, I don't know how that question will really tee up. But really, what I just heard you say is that you guys are working towards each other's weaknesses, if you will, right? Like, or you're working like one party will be able to be working towards their strength, and you're going to support them in that, and then that actually may be the other person's weakness.
Yeah.
And really, I think that's what can once you can identify that, and there is a lot of ego and personality and everything and all of the dynamic of a relationship and a business
Everyone's
partnership.
head just stuck
Yes.
in together.
But you have to really have that open and honest dialogue of saying, I really suck at XYZ,
Mhm.
and or hey, Ryan, you really suck at the spreadsheet things. I love spreadsheets. Let me handle that. That's just because it was a
Mhm.
recent conversation. Um,
Stephen is
but
a freak in the sheets. That's what we say.
that's right. That's right. But with that being said, so Ashley, like your dynamic with Ben is coming up here, changing a little bit, and obviously you know each other very well. You worked with each other on multiple other projects. Where do you see that Ben can help you succeed most, and what your guys' goals are?
Yeah, we've been having that discussion a lot lately. And I think probably like with Colton coming from a different industry, like coming from a contractor, hands-on, out on the building site type of industry, like you're not really into the spreadsheets or into the online data management of people and billing and all of those types of things. And so I think that, I've challenged Ben with becoming a little bit more, um, we jokingly say like computer literate. Not that,
Not that bad.
I mean, it's like the
Hold
one,
up.
like the, but like,
Hacking.
I can type really fast with two fingers.
All you need.
yeah. So, I think that it is just a matter of trying to figure out each other's, weaknesses, and it's not always weaknesses, but I think it's best use of time, which is what we talk about
Mm,
in our own right as realtors, as broker owners. What is the best use of our time? And we have come to the conclusion that the best use of my time is not responding to inquiries on all of our properties, and not meeting people there, and not doing those types of things. So Ben being able to recognize that that doesn't help me in my real estate game, I think is where that more or less led to him taking on those types of things. But I think, the other thing is there's probably one in all of our relationships that might be one more of a control freak than the other. I think we all know which one in each relationship. Um, and so I think like we're so used to doing things a certain way that like you like to have it done that way. And my coach actually was saying the other day, like sometimes instead of being perfect, it's just being done is better than being perfect. And so I think we have to kind
Written
of
on my wall. On my wall, it says done is better than perfect.
literally, right? And that's a
Mhm.
hard thing for me to do even in real estate. So I think that in the real estate world, we're so compliance orientated, and that's why it has to be quote unquote perfect. So trying to move that over like into another industry that it's just done is that. But on a just different note, I think the one thing that I struggle with, or maybe we struggle with, is when you can see potential in your partner and they can't see the potential. So I think that that is another area that it's easy when you're looking back and like you can do that, but they haven't done it before. So being able to see them through that and helping them through that.
Yeah.
Brian, you know nothing about that, right? And our roles are changing right now too. And Ryan has taken over the supervising broker position, and really taking on the leadership portion of the entire company. And something like just this last week, if you can share the stoplight analogy, Ryan, of just in the leadership styles and understanding, and to echo off of where Ashley was saying, I am the control freak. I'm the one that has a little bit of issues with those things. And so Ryan's coach shared this analogy with him, and I think it's a great way to look at it and understanding.
Well, I think that like Stephen and I's dynamic is very different. The way he leads and says things and does things is very different from how I do things. And, you know, when I was talking to my coach, she was like, you know, you run things more as like a four-way stop. Like everyone, as far as with our staff, like everyone has their role and everyone's just kind of going. She's like, but sometimes they get stuck and you have to be the stoplight to unstick that, versus Stephen wants it just to be a stoplight all the time. Like, and I thought it was a great analogy of like two different ways that we both do things. I jokingly said it was Stephen's like the Autobahn, like just no stop signs, no stoplights.
Keep
They're
going.
all green.
Just go.
He's like, just go.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that we've had to like see is that he can be a very big picture person. I'm the person that like I want all of the steps and like what is this going to look like, and whether it be reeling him back in or him having to, you know, lift me up to where he wants to be with that. Like we've had to see that that's just the two ways that we do things, but both complement each other to typically get to the end result that we want. Be it if Stephen has to give some from his controlling side or not.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And I think the you know, Ashley, Ben, Ryan, and I did a call with our coaches, and I think the analogy that they also used on that is I'm the kite and Ryan is an anchor. And if I did not have Ryan, I would be flying all over the place and like probably literally flying on a plane all over the place. But and he's my anchor, and if he didn't have me to help pull him up, he would just anchor himself right there and be constantly, you know, secure right there and be okay. And so I think these analogies that we hear in different phrases, and you know, that we have to constantly tell ourselves like, no, this is okay. Yes, it's uncomfortable letting go of control, or yes, it's uncomfortable having to step into a new role, but that is pulling Ryan up and grounding me down as well. And I think it's really understanding personalities and thinking and brain types. And, you know, the Colby score is something that is huge that I think that everybody should do. And I know that Colton and Haleigh, we had a conversation about DISC profiles. How do you think that using the DISC profiles or Kobe assessment or whatever these different ones, specifically the DISC for you, like how do you feel like that benefits you when working with your spouse and even in business?
So
Go therapist.
my answer is two-part actually. I want to say something to what Ryan and what you were just saying is that I think one of the things that has helped Haleigh and I is that when we get into those arguments and about the process or the thing or whatever the flavor of the day is for the thing that's bothering us, being able to sort of anchor, to use your term, to anchor ourselves back to this idea that we may not want to get there the same way, but we're still directed towards that same goal. And that often gives me a lot of peace when we're in those moments, because it may not be how I want to necessarily get there, but ultimately we're still going to get there. And I think it ties into the DISC, because when you look at Haleigh and I's profile on the diagram, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner and she's in the top left-hand corner. And all of our colors basically create the full picture. And really that allowed me some insight to say, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to, like, she doesn't always need the line by line detail of what I'm thinking and how I arrived at the solution or the conclusion. And on the flip side, I think she knows that I want to know how we're going to do it.
Yeah, sometimes
but usually in a spreadsheet form.
I'm really good at spreadsheets. My profile is kind of weird. I'm like super, super spreadsheety nerdy. And then I'm also like, let's just jump. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like we know we can do it. We've done it before, or we've almost done it before. We didn't fail last time. So can we jump? Can you jump with me, please?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, because I love and support you.
The building of the airplane on the way down a little bit.
I think that's our analogy. It's just kind of like we build it on the way down and it still flies.
Yeah.
So, it just, but yeah, we were definitely on the opposite sides. But the disc or any of those kind of things, it's not just you taking it and understanding you, but it's understanding how you communicate with the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power in it. Because I know how to talk to me. I talk to me all the time. But whenever I figure out how to talk to the other people, that's when it really shines. And then
I get in trouble for talking to myself.
you're fine. It's normal.
Steven's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just having a staff meeting. It's fine.
It really only becomes very problematic and diagnosable when you start answering yourself in long monologues.
I might be headed there then.
So really, like, if we haven't figured this out yet, and maybe, I mean, you guys can agree or disagree with me here, but I think Colton, Ryan, and Ben are a lot alike with one another.
Oh, they're gonna
awfully alike.
Awfully.
There was a pause there.
Okay, I was like, hold on, awful. No, my bad. I see what I did there. No, like, you guys are are so close in personality and dynamic and thinking, and I think Ashley, Haleigh, and myself are way more. Let's bullet point. Like, this doesn't need to be story time. We don't need to know. Like, it was so funny the week that I spent at Ashley and Ben's.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, Ben. There was multiple times, but there is one time, particularly, we're talking, and then Ben is going on the story, and then kind of look at Ashley like, where did I miss this? Like, where's he going? And she's like, okay, Ben, wrap it up. Let's go. Let's pull it together. And I was like, oh my God, like, bullet points, please. Like, then we
Steven
can dive
does the
down to
same
it.
thing to me. Like, he does not. I enjoy telling a good story. Like, sometimes you got to have all the facts to know why it was a good story.
You need to know the
And Steven-
backline sometimes to know why I decided this decision. Like, if I made this decision, this is why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to make
thought
sure
all of
everyone in the
I saw
room
a movie
understands
at 7 o'clock at
yes.
night.
I'm sorry. Literally yesterday, Colton said, "I'm trying to speak in bullet points for you." Like, that was his quote yesterday. And so, yes,
it's a learned skill. It does not come naturally.
So
I actually felt a little bad for Ben when Steven was there, because I was like, Steven and Ashley are like the same person when they're together, and Ben's got to deal with both of them.
we
by
said
himself, you left him
We did
alone.
well.
we did.
I had a
We
little
did.
bit of a breakthrough.
You did fantastic.
Well, I'd imagine with
Dawn
both
is
of them
serving when you
there,
spend
you
time with
probably
us.
did.
It was so funny. We were sitting at the island, and this is a different time, but Ben is sitting in the middle of Ashley and I, and Ashley and I were talking, and Ben was like looking left, right, left, right. He was like, it's like I'm watching a tennis match here. And I'm like, yeah, like, why did you sit in the middle? So something that I did, and with the Colby assessment is, think sometimes, and maybe you guys don't experience this, sometimes my delivery is not received well, and I'm really, really trying.
Recorded, right?
It is recorded.
We all
Right.
heard it, Ryan. We all heard it.
All right. Great.
So I'm working on it. I acknowledge it. I know that I'm a very direct person, and I just want to get to the point. But also, I've realized that I need to tone it down, and especially on who I'm talking to, and not every single person is receiving it the same way, or maybe they don't know me, and so I'm really being conscious of that. So something recently that I did is I took for Brandon his Colby assessment, threw it in ChatGPT, took mine, and I said, based off of his assessment, based off of mine, help me rewrite my brain dump here in a format for him to receive it in a positive, manner. And I give it this whole prompt. And I really thought about this with you, Colton, because of the DISC assessment and everything that you and I talked about. Like, how freaking amazing would it be? Maybe not best in the relationship side of things, but for business side of things, that if you know this about a particular person, or maybe it is good for the relationship to bring it over onto the personal, or excuse me, for the business side of things, but be able to say, hey, this is their Colby assessment. This is their DISC profile. This is mine. Help me construct this to be able to deliver it in a positive manner to get us to the end point of X, Y, and Z. And holy shit, that email was written way differently than I would have ever even.
Mhm.
I mean, like it was beautiful. It was still what I wanted, right? Like, and also it was received extremely well, and it helped with our feedback loop. So just throwing that out there, that I think that there's great ways and tools that you can bring this in, that you don't need to understand every aspect of the DISC profile or the Colby assessment. Use AI to help you generate this to help move things along and not have the battle back and forth. So
I feel like my brain's on the floor right now. That was, I hadn't considered that. Ryan, when you got the email, did it
Was it
did
Ryan
it
or Brandon?
translate, or was it?
That was Brandon.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
oh, you
Your email to me was ChatGPT too, but
100%.
But did you care? Because, when we were all at conference and the one guy is talking about when do you turn off the AI and when do they not care? And it's like, I don't care that was delivered perfectly crafted by AI because it was in my language. So I don't care that AI did it.
yeah,
Because it got us to the result faster.
It was definitely received better by me. I don't think it's a secret. So Steven does this thing with his eyebrow when he's like not happy with something. And so, it didn't have any eyebrow in the email.
No eyebrows in your emails. That's
It was a
fabulous.
no
What a
eyebrow
great
email.
check mark for you.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to take that as a win.
Yeah. Colton will say that to me too. He's like, "Oh, your face just changed. What's wrong?" And I'm like, "My face didn't change. I'm fine." He's like, "No, your face changed."
I think
Like,
we could avoid a lot of arguments if I would just learn to ignore things. But
the therapist in him is like, "Why'd you just cross your arms?"
why are you
And I'm
sitting
like,
up when you said that to me?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's tough on my end too, y'all. Like he can like read the brain and all the things, and I'm like, okay, so if I stay very still and I don't move and I try to be monotoned, then I can't be accused of getting mad.
Yeah,
It's hard on both sides.
It's a tough life.
But I think that like when there's going to be times where you're upset from a business level, like when Steve and I were pretty early on, like I feel like we would have times where we disagreed, and then be that I was functioning on an agent level at that point, he was building the brokerage, and so like my response to him was, as an agent, like, I don't agree with this, and he's like, well, this is our company that we're building, and why don't you agree with me? But then we would go home with that, and then if the conversation continued, then it just like wouldn't go anywhere positive. So we had to learn that balance of like, okay, is this just something that we leave, we pick it up again tomorrow, talk about it? Because obviously it's hard not to talk about work when you're at home. We don't have a ton else to talk about, weather and other friends or something. But so I think that's just like recognizing, okay, is this something that we need to pause on and come back to when we're not feeling a certain type of way about how it's not being perceived by the other or received by the other person.
I wish we had acquired that skill early on. Unfortunately, it was born out of a lot of very long nights and a lot of very long conversations, arguments about that kind of stuff, because you can't separate it, right? The closest thing that I've heard it said was when Steven said a work-life harmony. And sometimes some of those keys are a bit sharp, and they play longly if you don't cut them off. In fact, what we have started to sort of implement is that now if there's something big going on, we have sat in the car in our driveway, and on the way home we said, look, we got to get out of here. We're leaving the office. We can talk about it till we get home. We're not getting out of the car until it's done, and we're not talking about this again until tomorrow. And that is usually you turn the car off, and then in Texas you only have a certain amount of time before it gets too hot, and
You gotta wrap up that real
you're either
fast.
gonna
Yeah.
do your stuff or
Yeah.
you're gonna wrap it up. You
Yeah.
know? But
And that
it's
has
tough.
helped. And I know, like, we talk to you a lot. Like, we figure out our whole life in the car. We decided we were going to get married on a road trip. We decided we were going to have a baby on a road trip. We planned all of our big life things, and we've been driving
How
around
does
in the
that happen in
car.
the car?
Oh, Ben.
like right there at that moment.
Right there.
Hey, you know,
It was we planned
Rest stop.
it. Okay, it wasn't like a spontaneous.
I can know it's fine.
Stop! Oh my lord, this is all recorded. It's a great conversation.
Awesome.
But on that, which is kind of funny, and it is very work with your spouse related. I am the one that made Colton quit his job and come into real estate. So I'm curious about that for y'all.
Yeah, that
But
did happen.
in our story, he quit his job. We lost the insurance. I got him in real estate. And like the next week, I was pregnant.
It wasn't a very good plan, but
And because,
it
you
did
know,
happen.
we thought we'd make a plan of like, it'll take like 6 months
gonna
and
be
like,
a
it'll be
while.
perfect. Yeah, no, the next day. The next day. It was like, oh, welcome to real estate, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that
this
was
is
one of our
happening.
big concerns. I mean, I was ready to get out of car sales. Like, I was burnt out. I wasn't, like, I was kind of at that glass ceiling. Like, I was selling, I don't remember how many cars per month. I was, top salesman quite a bit. And there just wasn't, like, what was the next step? You can be a used car manager, but the rest of the people in all the positions were nowhere close to leaving.
Yeah.
And so that's when I decided to get my real estate license. And then the end of that year was when I helped my mom with her cancer. And so it was just kind of a transition. Like, I can't go back to the dealership now. I've been on FMLA. And so I was like, I'm not going to have insurance. And here we go. We're both going to be on
Figure it
a,
out.
self-employed income, and we'll figure it out.
And really, like, that was all within the same. We started the brokerage, right?
In
In
August of that year. Yeah.
yeah, August of that
August of
year.
2016.
Your mom was diagnosed with breast
September.
cancer. And then here you, like, there was a lot of issues there at the dealership of if they're going to allow you to take off and not, or what. And I mean, you had to be there to be able to help your mom through the treatment. And so, right, that was like, I
Well,
remember distinctly being like, this is the opportunity. Like, look how toxic it is that they're not even willing to work with you, to your mom that has breast cancer and going through all of this and treatment and everything. And you can jump into this right now and let's go.
so my mom was an HR director before she got diagnosed with MS way back when. But when I was talking about FMLA, I was like, well, they're telling me that, like, I have to have proof of your appointments and then I have to schedule that time off. And she's like, that's not how FMLA works. Like, they don't have to pay you. Like, you can use your time off and everything. So when I did that and they figured out that I could do that and the doctor signed off on everything, I literally came in because my dad is also the service manager there. I came in to talk to him and walked up front to where my desk was. They had already scraped my name off the nameplate, packed up my desk. And I was like, you're not allowed to do that. Like, I have to return in the same capacity. And if you take my name off the nameplate, people think I don't work here. Like, that's hurting my sales. And they didn't, of course, see it that way. So I knew at that point, like, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
My dad was also, supportive of, you just need to be done with them. And so I wrote out that FMLA so that I could have insurance. And I think we went all of 2017 without health insurance. Pretty for sure that was the year that we did that. But also when I went full-time in real estate, it was probably mid 2017 when we had recruited some other good agents. I was producing, and went into 2018 was probably one of my best years in real estate as a new agent. But scary nonetheless that here we've started this company with little to no money. we're young and don't know all the things, and trying to figure out our lives. So we got married in 2018.
18.
So like lots of things happened right in a row, short amount of time. So I think that's where we've also learned in all of this that, like, Steven and I, there's times where I'll be like, all right, I'm going to Kansas City. I'll see you in 2 days. Or he'll go somewhere. Like, we just learned that we have to have kind of part two. Because when you do literally everything together, that can be cumbersome as well.
I think
So,
with your story, Ryan, a lot of people, like everybody's story is a little bit different how they get into it. And like as like a couple in a relationship, we all kind of went into a different business, like with real estate and everything, but all have a different story and starting out with like nothing. So, I mean, people wanting to get into business, whether you're a couple or not, I mean, this is 3 stories right here where everybody basically got into it with nothing and made something of it. So, I mean, that's that's kind of cool how it all happens like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
so we're coming up on time. We have Haley's 12-page bullet point that I haven't made through. I'm just kidding. It's only like
There
4.
was
Uh,
4 bullet points. Okay, let's just. I kept it reined in. Okay.
but we have so much more to dive into. So we're going to
Yeah.
pause this segment and we're going to then restart. So make sure that you tune in next week to get the second portion of this running couples powerhouse here. So I appreciate you tuning into the Leading Lane podcast, and stay tuned for more. It's going to be some good stuff.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook, or check out our website. We'll see you next time.